Well, I think on that basis it better be the Honourable David Parker.
The point, of course, I was making before the election is that Kiwi Build, in addition to all of the houses that are currently being built by the private sector, would add to supply. Of course, it would not add to supply overnight because you've got to issue contracts, you've got to get planning consents, and over a period, we promised that we would build 100,000 extra affordable houses over a 10-year period. Sir, the Minister of Housing in the last day or so with Paul Henry admitted that the Auckland housing market is out of control. Right. The first time he has admitted that there is a crisis, still won't use the words. I heard our colleague from New Zealand First describe him as the Minister of Homelessness. I prefer the alliteration of the new term that's been devised in this debate, which is the Minister of Houselessness. And I think that that's going to stick because, Minister, why is it that we are bringing forward all of these credible additions to housing policy to fix this problem? It's because we do have a state of emergency. We've got the lowest rate of home ownership since the 1950s, and it's still going down. We used to have higher rates of home ownership than Australia. Now we've got lower rates of home ownership than Australia. The average house price in Auckland has risen to $1 million, and the median's gone up too. We've got people living in garages, in cars, on the streets, under bushes, under bridges. Sir, we have got homelessness in numbers that we've never seen ever in the history of New Zealand. We've got economic consequences that are going beyond the housing market into the rest of the economy, where exports are down and speculation is up. We've got people having to spend far too much on housing, and they're not investing enough in the real economy, which is where jobs and higher incomes. We've got Reserve Bank policy now ineffective because the banks are not passing on interest rate cuts, because the banks are saying that prices are perilously high, and they're worried that if they drop interest rates, they will feed the bubble and make things worse. Sir, in the midst of all that, we have the Minister of Houselessness, who cartoons in the last day have shown that he has not got the screen appeal of Agent 86, but Max Smart of the National Party does seem to be embarking on operations for chaos rather than for the government. Sir, we had the Minister who's just sat in the chair, Jerry Brownlee, who has his answer to New Zealand when he said these higher house prices don't make. It said, New Zealanders, follow my example, eat cake. Mr. Speaker, we've had the saboteur from the National Party come forward with a policy that says we need an omnibus bill. Now, why did they do that? Because they wanted to whack through, under urgency, changes to the long-established principles under the Public Works Act that people, as part of their rights, if they have a property taken off them compulsorily, should actually have it offered back to them in some circumstances. They wanted to change that rule of decades to preserve it for a subset of the population, which is Maoridom, but for non-Maori rights holders in respect of land previously compulsorily acquired and then being disposed of. They did not want to confer that old right. So what did they do? They had this clever idea of an omnibus bill. The Speaker ruled that in order for that to be justified, this has to be a wide debate. And so, as a consequence, they have offered the Labour Party the ability to put forward comprehensive housing policy as to how you would fix this housing quality, which brings me to this part 3. Sir, you will hear other parts, I'm sure, relating to some of the other matters that the Minister and the Chair raised recently relating to the need for Resource Management Act reform, and we've got some ideas around urban boundaries that we've already announced and we'll be discussing later in this debate. But this one is actually getting the Ministry of Housing, through the Minister, to bring forward a plan for affordable housing. Because, you know, these 1,300 houses that have been built in these affordable housing areas, less than 150 of them being affordable that we need tens of thousands of affordable houses, 150 from this failed state SHA shows we need this land.
I will hear from the provinces. Stuart.